I-95.5 FM presents Inside Insurance. Listen now as John Gill teams up with Guardian Group insurance experts to tell you all you need to know about insurance. Here now is Inside Insurance.
Good afternoon, Toronto, and welcome. It's 3:30 in TNT, and it's time for Inside Insurance. Of course, this is the insurance program where we bring to light everything that is insurance, and it's brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian Group, and we always have Guardian Group experts in studio with us to talk about different areas of insurance. And today we talk liability insurance. And in studio with me this afternoon, Guardian Life experts, Guardian General, experts, David Leaping and Karen Sylvester. Good afternoon, people. Good afternoon, David. Good afternoon, Karen. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, John. Very
nice.
well.
Good.
Afternoon.
And today we're talking liability insurance. And let's jump right into it. What is liability?
John, quite simply, I will try to describe that in one word. Liability is responsibility.
Well, that's easy enough.
Right.
So anything you're responsible for?
Yeah, anything that I am responsible for, I am liable for. And say the other way, if I'm liable for it, I'm responsible for it.
All right, so that's very simple. Now, but what is legal liability though? That would be different from just using the word loosely, wouldn't it?
Yeah, legal liability is liability at law. So this is where the judicial system comes into being now. There are other kinds of liability. For example, a person may feel an emotional responsibility. Something has happened. He's not too sure whether he's right or wrong, but he feels a responsibility because another human being might be injured in an incident.
Yeah.
He may not be responsible for that incident at all, but he feels this attachment to, an injury, and therefore he may decide, look, let me take this guy to the hospital, let me get some medical attention, etc. Even though he's not legally liable, he feels a sort of moral responsibility sort of thing. So we need to be able to differentiate between legal liability at law, and the other kinds of non-legal liability sort of thing.
And how does legal liability arise?
Legal liabilities may arise in different ways. One, the most common is what we refer to as the common law, which is really the law of tort. It can also arise under statute, which is legislation, and it can arise under contracts. Those are the three main sources. Now, each one will have their own implications, sort of thing. Right? The ones that the insurance is mainly interested with is the ones that tort. And then there are several different kinds of torts.
And that tort, folks, is not THOUGHT, it's TORT.
Yes,
right. So just in case
which is a legal term.
Next thing somebody think about something, then they realize it and problems, right?
Yeah.
So you want to go in a little more detail about what tort involves, though, David?
Well, a tort really is a civil wrong. Generally, we as human beings have a responsibility. We owe a responsibility to our other human beings, our fellow human beings. So that whatever we do in life, or maybe not do, we have to do it in such a way that we are careful. Right? If we breach that carefulness and we cause accidents, then we are going to be held liable for that accident. And if any injury or damage arises out of that accident or incident, then we are liable or we are responsible.
Right.
And that is where the legal aspect of it comes into being.
All right. Now, what is liability insurance?
Liability insurance is that type of insurance that responds to liability.
To respond to responsibility, which and we're talking about in the area of tort.
In the area of tort.
Right. So, and that is what liability insurance
is all about.
So, if, for example, I am having an event, and if anything untoward would happen at that event, I could be held responsible.
Yes.
And therefore, it would be necessary for me to have some form of liability
protection.
insurance
Yes,
to protect myself
right.
against something like that.
Yes.
Right? So
Yeah.
that's the kind of thing that we're
Yes.
talking about.
Yeah.
Okay.
John, the most obvious case that everybody is aware of is in the area of motor insurance.
Right.
When you drive your car, you must drive it in such a way, take such care and control, etc., that you don't cause accidents.
Or you don't injure
Or you
anybody
don't
else.
injure anybody else,
Yeah.
sort of thing. And if you breach that care and you cause the accident, then you can be held liable for it. Now,
Right.
and that's just the motor. I mean, there are many other areas of liability.
Right, because you have public liability, you have motor.
Yeah.
Give us some examples.
Products liability, for example. Okay, a manufacturer of products. He manufactures a batch of bad products because of some negligence. He didn't take enough care.
Right. And
And,
it
the
causes
products came out defective.
Or
And
it causes injury to-
or
yeah.
damage, or
Yeah.
as the case may be. That's a case of, again, negligence.
right. And
As well as with respect to the products, if the packaging is damaged, he can also be held responsible for that
as well.
also.
Right.
Yes.
So again, so let me ask this question then. Who should insure? Who should, in other words, take out liability insurance?
Well, the simple answer to that is everybody. Because no, in our individual lives, we walk around with potential liabilities. You and I can cause an injury or an accident out of carelessness. Right? So as an individual, we have that responsibility. As a corporate body or any group or entity, we have that responsibility as well. So everybody, whether individual, corporate, NGOs, charity, whatever form or fashion you may take, partnerships, etc., they have a responsibility to take care in what they are doing so as not to cause injury.
To anyone.
And to
Yes.
add to what David is saying, we also have to be mindful that even the employers have a responsibility towards their employees. So they can actually be held under the employer's liability section of the workmen's compensation with respect to that also.
You mean like if, for example, an employer, let's say there's an electrical fitting that is faulty and a employee goes to use it and is electrocuted or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Things like that.
But the incident must be arising out of some sort of negligence.
Right, yeah.
So, for
Right.
example, that faulty plug was brought to the attention of the management or the
And they did
executive,
nothing
and they
about
did
it.
nothing about it.
Right. What about a situation where, for example, if a member of the public enters a building owned by anybody,
Right.
a company or whatever, and in, let's say, coming down the stairs, they would trip and fall, is that company liable for anything in a situation like that?
Not absolutely necessary, because we must really establish negligence.
Right.
Now, if the employee himself was coming down in such a careless manner, or the member of the public in such a careless manner, he may have contributed to his own thing and not
Right.
necessarily the building owner.
Right. But if there was, for example, a raised tile or something
Yes.
that they tripped on,
Yes,
Definitely.
right,
and
definitely. Right, yeah. Or there was a broken stairway
or something
or
of
loose,
this-
something,
yeah.
yeah.
Then-
or even
then-
a simple thing as water on the ground.
Right.
And
you
you see
slip,
that. You see that very, very often
Yeah.
in stores and supermarkets, etc.
and somebody would have slipped and fall and injure
Right.
themselves, then
In
that company.
instances like that, one is expected to actually to demonstrate care in what they do. So once that individual that does not demonstrate care, they could be held liable.
Right.
So if, for example, you have the water on the floor, it would always be good to have a signage advising
floor,
people
or whatever.
wet floor.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah.
that people
Try
can
and-
take care.
Correct.
Right.
And try and clean it up as quickly
As
as possible.
quickly as possible to avoid any, of course, damage. Now, I know there are specific types of liability insurance. We talk briefly about motor and so forth, but in terms of specific that is liability targeted,
Okay.
and
Okay.
some of those would be like public liability. What else?
Products liability, professional liability, which
Right.
it would include different classes based on what your business needs are. It would include directors and officers, employers liability as well.
Right, and also.
So let me develop on that professional one.
Right.
Professional persons and or professional firms have a professional responsibility not only to their clients but to the public at large. And if in the carrying out of those professional duties they are negligent and they cause injury or damage, then they can be professionally liable.
Now, does the damage have to be physical?
No, it can be financial.
In
many instances, it's financial because in some cases it will not really involve a bodily injury.
Right.
You know, so a professional giving advice, for example, and gives incorrect advice, and not only giving incorrect, he negligently or didn't take due care in giving that advice. It doesn't injure the person's body, but he may suffer financially. Loss of reputation, for example. Defamation. Right. So under that category, you have libel insurance and slander insurance. It's generally termed under defamation insurance.
Right.
Right. And that is newspapers and radio stations and publications. That type of thing.
We get letters from certain.
Right. Right.
And
the next thing too is that in the professional world, sometimes they take a very long time to materialize. In the legal profession, for example, especially in conveyancing, when you buy and sell land, that has to go through a whole legal process on searches, etc. And we have had cases where a deal was made many years ago. It's now 15 or 20 years later, and the buyer of that land wants to now sell it. And upon this second transaction,
something comes up. A defect was shown up. In other words, the first sale was a defective sale. Right. Or for example, a proper search wasn't done, and there's an owner.
Right.
Good.
Right. Yeah.
Good. So cases like that. I mean, it could take a long time before it actually manifests itself.
Right.
In some other cases, it manifests itself immediately. A slip and a fall, for example.
Yeah. And that was a bit like workman's comp and that kind of thing would cover employers.
Employers' liability,
right.
which happens during the course of your duty. Yes,
right.
Must be in the course of your duty.
Now, what about we are not, as we talk, I think I heard Dylan they talking the other day, we're not a litigious society, really. We do generally not.
Us becoming though.
We becoming a little more so.
Yes.
But like you hear instances like in the States, if you have somebody is passing in front of your gateway and they slip and fall or something of this sort, you can be liable because that forms part of your property. We don't have that as much in Trinidad as yet. I say as yet because you never know where it's going.
But it's coming, eh?
It's coming.
Yeah.
But things like that.
Yes.
So if things like that do come on board, you will find that homeowners will have a responsibility, one, to make sure that the entire premises or the areas around their premises are well kept and so forth. And if anything would happen, they can become liable.
Correct.
So we'd have this situation where homeowners would that kind of coverage be included in a homeowner policy though?
Yes, it's generally there is a general section of the homeowners policy that deals with public liability, that type of liability.
That kind of liability. All right, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to open up the phone line 622-3937. Remember, we're talking liability insurance, the different forms of liability, and you are free to call with questions related to what we're discussing. We'll be back right after this.
At this time of year, heavy rain can be a prelude to anxiety, inconvenience, disaster. Are you prepared? At Guardian General, we're here to help you make double sure that everything that's important to you is taken care of. Look out for our double sure storm season checklists in the press and on Facebook, and live safe.
Guardian Group. Live easy.
Welcome back to Inside Insurance, of course, brought to you with the kind compliments of Guardian Group. And in studio we have Guardian General experts, Carmen, Sylvester, David Leoping, and we're talking liability insurance. We're going to take our first call. Good afternoon, welcome. Hello. All right, that person called and stepped away from the phone apparently. Right, so 622-3937 is the number. We're talking liability insurance, all the different forms of liability insurance. And, I didn't even realize that defamation and so forth fell under liability.
Yes, it is. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
So, I mean, because I guess we all have to take due care and diligence when we're talking about people to make sure that we do not defame them or or cause them or their reputation any injury.
Yeah.
You know, so all right, so 6223937. Now, when you're applying for, or how should one determine whether they need some sort of liability insurance, David?
Everybody carries around a potential liability in different forms. And once we carry around a potential liability, there's an appropriate type of insurance, liability insurance policy to match that particular type of liability. Right?
All right, so let's deal with a business one. I'm going into business. What we know the basic things: you need to have insurance for your property, fire, and so forth. You need to insure your stock. You need to insure your cash in transit and so forth. What types of liability insurance should I have? Does it depend on the type of business I'm into?
Yes, it's dependent on the type of business. For example, if you're looking at an office operations, you will really need cover for the premises where you're located. You'll also need some type of cover for employees going away to do business. So you will be looking to streamline your policy along those lines. If you're into a manufacturing operations, then you will, dependent on the product you're selling, you'll definitely need the product's liability to be a part of that type of cover also. So it's dependent on the type of business.
Right, and if you're into manufacturing and other heavy machinery and so forth, you're going to have to look at accident-related insurance as well.
Yes, yeah.
Right?
Because accidents can occur.
Can occur, right. So those kind of things, again, it depends on the type of business and the scope of your business will determine the type of insurance that you need and so forth. What about an individual, me, walking up and down the road?
Well, unfortunately, the individual really don't pay much attention to it at all. Right?
Should we?
Yes, we should, because we can cause accident. You can walk out the road there now and carelessly step off the pavement, cause a motorist to pull to avoid you
and hit somebody
else. You know. And
most of the times I walk away and I go on and nobody, and the two vehicles, the drivers, you know, and I go my way or the pedestrian goes away and. You know.
Yeah. But John, you see, we walk around with that potential liability all the time, whether we are individuals or whether we are corporate bodies. One of the type of liabilities that have been making the wrongs these days, in particular, is in the medical field.
Right. Yeah. We
It's
didn't talk about that.
Doctors, nurses, the medical profession as a whole. I mean, it's generally referred to as malpractice liability, because doctors and the medical profession as a whole, they need to take care in what they are doing so as not to cause injury or damage, etc. And when they do, they will be sued.
All right, good afternoon. Welcome, the first caller.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I would like to know if there is any law that says that health professionals or hospitals have to have insurance, liability insurance.
All right, well, you missed it because we were just, and you can listen out now because you just touched on that, David. But is it becoming? I know it's not something that is very prominent in Trinidad at this point in time, but I mean,
there are no legal requirements for the medical profession. But the medical profession by themselves, they organize, but they do it in the form of groups, they do it in the form of individuals. But I'm not aware that there's any legal requirement.
So it's not a legal requirement, but I mean, if someone does something that causes injury, that person can in fact sue the doctor.
Yes, or the
institution,
or both.
Good afternoon, welcome.
Yes, good afternoon. I'm just wondering, in a case like John, if John says something to the public, they defame somebody, and the station is sued, right? They get that protocol letters. How Calypsonians get away with it? And they are not sued. They said the worst things on the stages.
All right. And interesting. Because he's right. If I were to say something defamatory in any way or libelous, the station will receive a letter, and the injured party could sue not only myself but sue the station as well.
Right.
Now, and he's right, how do Calypsonians get away?
Calypsonians have a long history of I think they call it poetic
license,
right? And that is something that is cultural. It is something that has been there from a long, long time. I don't want to use the word immemorial sort of thing, but it has developed into a practice where the Calypsonians, for some reason, have been, exempt from being sued and so.
Yeah,
because it is really poetic. It is a poetic
it's a kind of poetic license. But it's not only in Trinidad. For example, comedians in the States have the similar kind of poetic license where they can see things because it's part of the art form. So people in the art forms are usually exempt.
And John, I think also that in that arena, when these remarks are made, etc., it is generally known to be sort of picong, So very often there is no intention, to defame. It is we call it picong,
right?
And Calypsonians have developed that sort of poetic license,
right? And it's not and as in Trinidad, but I think it applies most places in the world where people in the arts tend to be exempt from that kind of litigation. Hello, good afternoon, welcome. That person didn't wait. Right, so we can call 622-3937. So it is becoming more common nowadays for doctors to have.
I think most doctors or in the medical profession will have it's known as professional liability insurance.
Right.
Most people in the legal profession will have it. Most people in the accounting profession will have it. In fact, most people in the professions,
even like engineers and so forth as well. Right?
They need to have it. Land surveyors, engineers, architects.
Yeah. Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Well, you call it poetic license, which makes sense, but at the end of the day, if I want to slander somebody, I just have to go and sing a calypso and put out what I know about them then and then say speak on, So it go to show the shortcomings of the law. And the last thing I will say about this same thing called the law is the same law that used to say black and white car travel in the same bus. You see, the whole thing about this law, the law is really a kind of a waste of time to me, because it does only suit the interest of some.
No, the law is it evolves.
Nobody will leave it to me. Listen, hear my ultimate argument.
Yeah, but hold on. We're not talking law, we're talking insurance. So that discussion is really no.
Is insurance I'm talking about now?
All right.
I just draw an example, right? The insurance is governed by the Insurance Act, and as far as I understand, that's why Dupree and everyone else get away, is that the only thing that's being insured is the interest of the principal.
Yeah, but all right, thanks for your call. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I would like to respond to that caller.
No.
No. I just want to let him know what he just said about he just have to sing a kaiso. Yeah, we're wrong. Very, very, very wrong. You cannot slander anybody in a kaiso and just get away with it and say about poetic license. Yeah, I said very, very wrong. Let me check that again. Okay?
All right.
That's what I want to say.
Yeah. All right, but I think it is poetic license as far as I understand that it's allowed to happen, because you see comedians do it in the States and they're not sued and so forth, and so I think it's a level of poetic license, and once it falls within the art form, the recognized art form. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Calling to get some information. I came in kind of late to the program. I just wanted to find out if I'm going into a small business where I purchase products online and that type of thing, and I sell the product to someone and they have adverse effects, on the products and that type of thing. How does it?
How can it affect you?
Yeah.
And should you have insured yourself against it? All right, yeah. I'll allow David to answer. So listen on the radio for me, please. All right?
Thank you.
Thank you. David?
Yeah, all suppliers of products, again, the general principle applies, must take care that whatever they do not breach that public care.
Right.
So if you supply a product and you negligently or carelessly supplied it, it's defective in some form or fashion, and it causes an injury to a third party, you are liable. Yeah, you can be held liable for that.
But if, for example, I as you said, you're buying something online, and
let's say there's a supplier.
Right, but I'm saying, for example, it works for most people, but one person has an allergic reaction to it without your... So it's not something you intended to. Are you still liable?
No. Because if you have done everything that you were supposed to do, everything correctly, but the person has an allergic reaction, there's nothing wrong with your product or service. There's something wrong with the person.
All right, fair enough. Good. Hello, good afternoon. Welcome.
Good afternoon. I have to admit I too kind of joined late. I just want to ask a question regarding the insurance. If a doctor do services for a client agreed to pay, and then the client for some reason not able to pay, but that doctor have insurance to support him in a situation like that?
I'm not quite clear on that. Say that again for me. So,
doctor performs services for a client.
Right, like surgery, for example.
Yes. Agreement is made, they will pay, so. But then problems come up, the client is unable to pay. I'm just asking if it is possible that the doctor could have insurance taken out for that sort of situation.
All right. David?
He can have insurance for his negligence. But I'm not quite sure about it. But if it is that he is,
no, the question he's asking is, let's say I agree to pay you for surgery. You do the surgery, and for some reason, I am unable to pay. Like, let's say, for example, after the surgery, I lose my job, for example, and therefore I'm unable to pay you. Can you, the doctor, take out insurance against such a liability?
No. I don't
such
think
an occurrence.
I don't think that will be a liability as such. This is an inability to pay. That's a whole different matter altogether. The doctor can sue the patient for his money
for failure to pay. But there's no insurance protection. No. All right. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hello. Blessed day to you. My question is concerning banks and credit union. If I put $500,000 in the bank, what is being what is covered if the bank going to receivership is maybe less than half of the amount of money I put in the bank? Why is that so? I want to know why it is the covering for the money that is in the bank or in the credit union. Like if I put $1 million, how much is being covered if they're going to receivership, and why is that amount?
All right, I hear your question. All right, he's talking about deposit insurance.
Deposit insurance, which really does a government control type situation. That's not in the commercial insurance sector.
Yeah, but all right, so that's, for example, I think it's 75,000 or some kind of thing like that.
Yeah.
But do banks, and I know this, but can a bank or any financial institution insure against something like that in terms of, like, if something onto it, for example, the collapse that happened recently, where a lot of people suffered financially because of the collapse of certain banks. Could those institutions have taken out insurance to cover?
Under certain circumstances. For example, if it was established that the failure was as a result of the negligence of the directors and officers, there's an insurance for that. It's known as directors and officers liability insurance.
Okay. And that happened in some of the banks in the States. It was proven that it was not the fault of the economy alone, but the fault of the directors.
The executive, as the case may be.
All right, so we're almost out of time. You could squeeze one more call before we have to wrap things up. Good afternoon, welcome.
Good evening.
Afternoon.
This is the reason why I don't always have a problem with this thing called insurance.
No, that's not the reason for the program. Right, so thank you very much for your call. I want to thank all those who called. I want to thank David and Karen. Carmen, sorry. I learned a lot about insurance and liability insurance that I didn't know before. So I want to thank you very much. And once again, we want to say thank you very much for Guardian Group for the program, Inside Insurance. We'll be back the first Friday. The last Friday. This is the first Friday in July. The last Friday in July. So tune in for more then.